guys, and welcome to my May wrap up. Yeah, this is posted really late. But yeah, I have 3 of the books here that I read. A lot of them, I'm gonna go through them faster because a lot of them I did do some individual reviews for already. But I'm really excited. I read some really good books in May, and June not so much. I haven't been reading as much. I've been watching the news like the rest of the world. Okay, so book number 1 I read was Recipes for Persuasion. I'm gonna add the review up here. Absolutely loved it. I gave this book 5 stars. This is book number 2 in the Raha series by Sonali Dev, and it is a Jane Austen series. It is retakes on Jane Austen. It was by far, Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors was the book number 1. It was by far my favorite Pride and Prejudice retelling I've ever read, and I really liked it, and I liked the sarcasm in it. The book number 2 is about Persuasion, and I was halfway through reading Persuasion. I still haven't finished it, but I want to read it all the way again. And yeah, it just like ignited my love for Persuasion, and it was really good. It is about a girl who cooks, and then a boy who used to know her, who was into sports. He was into soccer, and he has been injured, so he's gotten out of that, and so they end up on a celebrity chef cooking show together, and it does follow the lines of Persuasion. This is like a very lighthearted book with like sad sweeps, like sad things like lingered in and everything, but it's done like Persuasion to a T. Absolutely loved it. It follows the storyline and can't recommend it enough. Like I said, I'll put the review up above. Book number 2 was Love Lettering by Kate Clayborn. This came out, I think, in December of 2019, so it is a new release. Just by Recipes, Persuasion was out like last month. It was a very new release. This one is still very much new release. People absolutely adored this book. I saw it everywhere. So I had it on checkout forever, and I just couldn't pick it up and read it. I don't know why I couldn't get into it. It did take me a minute to get into, but the storyline is about this girl who writes beautiful cursive, and a guy shows up and he's like, why did you write in that my marriage was going to fail into my thing? And it turns out it didn't even start, like his marriage didn't start. So you go on this like kind of epic sweeping thing of them. She's trying to discover what she wants to do exactly with her calligraphy, because she became really quite popular for wedding invitations, but it really hurt her hand, and she's on kind of like a bit of a new road, a new adventure with calligraphy. So they go around, they look at signs, and I think she's doing it for like a blog or something. I don't remember quite what it was all about, but that's the whole entire storyline. And then all of a sudden it kind of flips it on its head, and it's kind of like a bit of a not thriller, maybe more of a mystery at the end. And so you're reading it, 2/3 of the book is this very lighthearted book, and then the last third kind of flips on its head. So I feel like the book was a bit disjointed for me. Number 1, it took me a while to get into the book and to really love the characters, and then once I really started loving them, the book kind of flipped it on its head. So I think that's why I gave this in the end 3 stars. Overall, it was a very like good book, and it has really good characters and good romance. It just, for me, it felt a little disjointed at times. So the next book, book number 3, was Hidden Figures by Margot Shetterly. This book is not what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be this epic kind of romantic tale about these 3 women, like was done in the movie. It is not like that at all. I kept listening to it thinking, okay, the story's going to begin. The story's going to begin, because it was giving so much background information. And I've met people now, or I've talked to people about this now who have read it, and they're like, yeah, it is really hard to get through. It is an information dumping book. If I had approached this on a historical like information side, I would have absolutely loved this book with the amount of detail and everything. But I approached it having watched the movie, and that is not what this book is at all. This book will tell you about the buildings that they were in and when they were built, and every leader and organization that brought up to bring NASA up, that set the stage for these women to be joining, and what women were there and not women were there. It never got into like kind of that tailspin of how amazing these women were. And it talks about way more than these 3 women in the book. I'll have to give it that. It does. The movie didn't follow the storyline too much. The movie was way more dramatic as far as some things were, but it is giving the huge credit where credit was due for these 3 major mathematicians. So love the movie. If you are not a historical buff, you will not get through this book. Don't try. it is hard to read. It is hard to digest. If this would have been a textbook, I would have been like, that was a pretty good reading textbook. But I kept thinking that sometime a story narration would pop up, and that is not what this is at all. It is just historically accurate about a tale of these three women. I don't think this is going to be a book I'm going to keep around because it's not something I would reread. Absolutely love the story, love the movie, love that I learned all this information, but it's a heavy book. That's like a dense textbook to me. But yeah, that's kind of where I ended up. So I think I gave it 3 stars just because it was not what I was prepared for. If someone had talked to me about it before, then I maybe would have gave it higher because it is very well researched. But yeah, I listened to this, I think, a lot, and I think that's what really pushed me and got me through this book. The next one is Reborn. Oh my gosh. I did a review on this. Don't know where the review is. I'm going to have to go and find it in my files and repost it because I noticed it wasn't up on YouTube. But this is by Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey has written many, many books that have been published by big publishers. I found her and loved her on her newest series, Hot and Hammered. And the first one is Fix Her Up. Absolutely love this book. And then she came out with this, which she's self-published, so I didn't know about it, but a YouTuber luckily mentioned it, and so I went and picked it up and read it because I couldn't get a hold of it in the library and also COVID. So yeah, I'm glad I bought it. I really liked it. I will link up the review about it above, but it is a paranormal romance. And I think, to me, it reminded me of a debut novel as far as like world building and everything was set up like a debut fantasy novel, which it was, I believe, for her. This was a dip off of the romance, and she really did go all the way fantasy. It wasn't just like a slight dip off. So I liked it and recommend it, and I will try and link up the review if I have posted the review before this, but I need to go and find the review for this book. And then let's go to book number 5. It's 4 Seconds to Lose by K.A. Tucker. One of my favorite authors of last year was K.A. Tucker. I really found her and loved her in the romance section. And so I started this series. It was one of her beginning book series, so it wasn't as good or as well written as some of her newer ones, but they are very dramatic, very like depression and triggers. It's like everything that could possibly happen to these characters has happened in their past. So a lot has gone on. So this one is book number 3, I think, of the series. Yeah, it's book number 3, and it sets up with a guy that I didn't really love in the other parts of the series. He is the owner of the strip club, and I didn't really have interest in him because he owns a strip club. I prejudged the guy. But and then there's a young girl. That's the one thing I didn't like about this book. There is a pretty large age gap. I didn't love that part of the book. But I like the storyline anyways. I ended up liking the male's character and finding out so much about him and why he has been put here in this position and why he's doing what he's doing, as well as the girl's scenario and story. And she's just really scared and just needs to make some money. Obviously, like a lot of girls are put in that position where they end up needing to work at a strip club. So I really ended up liking the story. I think this one I gave the highest rating out of all the other 2 I read, and I really liked those books by K.A. Tucker. I really like her writing style. I think it's improved immensely with her newer books, which I absolutely love those ones. But I think this was the highest rating out of this series I gave. I think I gave it 4 stars overall. It is very dramatic. There is a lot going on. There's a lot that's going on in their past. This is not a lighthearted read. It isn't a heavily emotional read. She really, I've never read anything by her I think that was super heavily emotional, but there is a lot. It is a lot. Number 6 was The Honey Don't List by Christina and Lauren. Some of my favorite authors, some of the favorite authors on YouTube here for a lot of people for romance. It just came out recently. Let's see, yeah, March 24th of 2020, so their most recent read. Their last read, Twice in a Blue Moon, got a lot of flack, and I really loved that book. So I think with Christina and Lauren, oftentimes it's whether or not you like the characters and the situation they're in, because this one got pretty good reviews and I didn't really love it. I ended up giving it 3 stars overall. It's about these 2 people who are called the Trips, and they have built this empire, much like some people that are very, very famous today, and they don't really like each other. They kind of hate each other, and then it's really about the 2 people who work for them and how they grow closer. In the beginning, it's a hate to love story because they really hate each other. Both are, one's the girl's assistant and one's the guy's assistant in the story, but then they really get to know each other fast. So the hate to love trope falls through right away, which I didn't really think I liked. But a lot of the story was, I liked it because of the drama. The reason I liked it and thought it did so well was because of all the drama. I didn't, in the end, really like the romance or the romance scenes. I didn't really buy them, didn't believe them, didn't really care for them. So, yeah, that's where I ended up with that book by Christina Lauren. But still, some of my favorite authors will definitely read anything they put out. Yeah, because last year they put out Twice the Blue Moon, really liked. I liked Roomies, I liked Honeymooners by them. Phenomenal two duet authors. The next book I absolutely loved, and it was The Life in Medieval Times of Kit Sweetly. This is by Jamie Pacton. This came out May 5th, 2020, so it came out in May, and I read it in May. What a surprise. That's actually kind of a shock, but it popped up as an ebook on one of my libraries, so I got to check it out pretty soon there, and I absolutely loved it. I didn't think I would, because I often don't like teen read contemporaries. And that's exactly what this was. It was a debut novel, so I think I knocked it up even more, and that's the reason I gave it more 4 stars, because I think she did an excellent job with it. The storyline is about a young girl who works at a medieval times place, and they don't allow the girls to be knights, and she wants to be a knight. Number one, because they make more money, and she wants to make some money for her family and for college, and number two, because she can do it, because she did do it on The Secret. So I think that's in the description on the back. So she did it on The Secret because her brother gets injured, and she takes his place one night and fights like a knight. So that's the whole storyline. So you see the end coming from a mile away, that they might let girls be knights. And so yeah, that was the only thing, is that you could see the whole storyline from a mile away. You could see the romantic lead, like the little romance that was in it. There was a little side romance in it. You could see that from a mile away. But for a debut novel, it was done really well. It was still entertaining. It was funny. I liked it. And I don't often like contemporary teen reads. It's more on the rarer side I do. So for me, that also gave it bonus points. Number 8 was kind of a huge random book. I had a huge TBR, but it just popped up in an audiobook, and I needed an audiobook right then, and it was That Boy by Jillian Dodd. It came out May 16, 2011, so a very long time ago. It had pretty high ratings on there though. Anyway, it is about a girl and a guy. They've known each other their whole lives. Then another guy comes in, and they're quite young, and they're just like this trio of 2 guys and a girl. It follows them their whole life through like high school and college. But the whole storyline, she does a lot of things and dates one of the guys, but then in the end she ends up with the other one. I didn't really buy the storyline in the end. The main hero guy of the story fell flat on the page, where the other one you're not supposed to really like and love was very enigmatic and felt like came off the page a whole lot more. So I think I gave this a 3-star. It was a lower 3-star book. I did like her writing style. She probably has gotten to be even more and better stories. So I will definitely check her out as a romance writer, but the story just wasn't for me in the end. It just took so long. There were parts of it I really liked. It was all about like Husker football and everything, and they were all on these football adventures, but the way it wrapped up really quickly, and it was just, I didn't spend enough time with the hero of the character, and just, yeah, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it in the end. Book number 9 was The Daughter of the Pirate King. I read this simply because I was halfway through it, and I was like, I need to finish that because I got The Daughter of the Siren Queen in a haul earlier in May, which I will link up below. But I absolutely loved it in the end. This is definitely a teen YA fantasy read, which I love teen YA fantasy read, and I really liked it. The Daughter of the Pirate King is this guy who like controls all the pirates, and he's got a daughter, and his daughter is on her own mission, and she takes over the ship, and it's always will they, won't they, what will happen, what's gonna happen, is she gonna make it out of there kind of moments, but very YA, very more low level. Absolutely loved it. There is some fantasy woven in with sirens and stuff, so I liked it. It was a lot of fun. It's very short, very easy fantasy to read, which I also liked. I also enjoy sometimes some fantasies just like not an epic tale. Love on Lexington Avenue, I gave a 4 out of 5. And this is by Layne. I am on a trek through this trilogy that she has put out. She put out 2 of them last year, and one of them recently I just picked up. I absolutely love these books. They're like brand new, and smell nice. But I love the covers done on these books. That's what I meant to say. Really like the covers. This starts out with a girl, three-girl trio by Layne. I really got into her romance writing this year. Really like her as an author. But these three girls were all with the same guy. One was married. This one was the one that was married to him. One was dating him for a year, and one was with him for 3 months. So they all find out at his funeral that they were all with him at the same time, you know, and a little chaos ensues, but they absolutely become friends and they protect each other against bad men. And that's the whole entire storyline through the 3 books, and I absolutely loved them. They're a lot of fun books. They're just lighthearted romances in New York, but really well done, really fun, and a lot about the friendship, which I really like, and a lot about who these women are and what they do with their lives, which I really like too. And really easy to read, which I like too. I did like the first one, Princess on Park Avenue, better, or Passion on Park Avenue, better. I did like that one better than this one, but both of them really good. April 7th, 2020, but it is You Deserve Better by Sarah Hogle. I don't know how to mention that at all. This is like probably the first storyline, I believe, that I gave 5 stars that was a romance this year, and I absolutely adored it. I heard before that you won't like this book in the beginning, and it is kind of true. I liked the characters, but it seemed very much like something I had read before. I liked the storyline, but it seemed like very much something I'd read before. But as the story goes on and on, you learn to love them, and the way the story twists and turns, it's really, really good. So you start out with these 2 people who are getting married, who absolutely hate each other, and they're pushing each other to get rid of each other because neither one of them wants to do the thing where they just like cut it out and are done. So I really enjoyed it in the end. I loved it. It will definitely be a book I'm buying. I will have to go search for it somewhere, but I absolutely loved it. I can't recommend it enough. It is a brand new release, so I don't want to give too much away. But maybe I'll do a romance like mashup review of it just by itself, or with a few other romances that I've been really loving lately. But yeah, I do believe it's the first one I gave 5 stars this year on romances, so it's saying something for it because I read a lot of romance. But yeah, absolutely love that. It was a good way to end May, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you guys next time. Bye.